Welcome to you both. John, she definitely, walked back from the harshness of her rhetoric there.
She's got responsibility now. I think she has a different role than when she was being a little feisty on the campaign trail. But we'll see what she actually does. She's going to have hearings. She talked about using hearings to try to change behavior of regulators. She's got a hearing with credit agencies. She wants them to cut people a little bit more slack than they've been doing. And she also said she wants to lay down a series of Democratic messages for 2020 because everybody knows, including Maxine Waters, there's going to be very little legislating done in this Congress, considering we've got a Republican Congress, Democratic House, and a Republican president.
So we've heard, obviously, a lot about taking from the rich and giving to the poor, as she herself described it. John, what does she mean by fairness if she doesn't mean that?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a labeling thing, and you see that the word redistribution is a vulnerability for Democrats. In fact, in the Obama White House, they had a rule not to include that in their rhetoric, even though things like the Affordable Care Act and some of the tax measures the president did do redistribute money. Basically, everything government does redistributes one way or the other. So I do think that they are interested in raising taxes on people of higher incomes. She spoke in a favorable way about the idea that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has talked about much higher marginal rates. Didn't rule out the Elizabeth Warren wealth tax when I asked her about that, although she didn't said she didn't know the details.
I want to talk more about this sort of assault on the wealthy that is front and center as we approach 2020. In fact, here's what Elizabeth Warren had to say to Jim Cramer about her wealth tax issue last night.
What I want is I want these billionaires to stop being freeloaders. I want them to pick up their fair share. That's how we make a system that works not just for the rich and the powerful, but works for all of us.
Meanwhile, this caught my attention this morning. Reddit founder, turned venture capitalist Alexis Ohanian was on Squawk Box. He was asked about what the next hot Silicon Valley market is right now, and here's what he had to say.
At Initialize, what are some of the most exciting things that you're seeing, some of those very early stage things that the rest of us haven't heard about yet?
The big trend that I'm excited by, and it excites me especially as a Floridian, is this rise of elder tech. Yes,
elder tech, he said, meaning technology solutions for the elderly, Jimmy. So you have Elizabeth Warren calling billionaires and high earners freeloaders who need to do their fair share. Well, what if the next one of them comes from making $1 billion on something that helps out the elderly? Is that not considered someone you go after? And who's in charge of picking who it's okay to have that kind of wealth and who it's not?
Well, she seemed to be painting all rich people with the same brush. I think it's interesting. She makes no effort to separate out perhaps people who've gotten tremendously wealthy by selling goods or services that other people really value. I think that we should want more of that. I think a sign of people getting rich that way is a sign of a very healthy economy. I mean, my gosh, look at Europe. We generate 10 times the number of high-impact companies that Europe does. They have no big tech platforms. They like to regulate them, ours, but they're unable to generate themselves. So I think we might want to think about, gee, what are these super entrepreneurs giving us, and do we really think that that's freeloading? They're providing no value. And with any great innovation, I mean, the last Nobel laureate, William Norhaus, he did a great study that most of the value created by innovation goes to the public, not even to the entrepreneur himself.
And John, how would you think that the message from the Maxine Waters, the Elizabeth Warren wealth tax, Bernie Sanders talking about a 77%, at the max estate tax, if all the stories that people are hearing are about a couple of billionaires, either from the tech world or the Ken Griffins buying up a bunch of real estate, they're not getting the message that Alexis Ohanian is up there talking about. Elder tech. I mean, that's the hot new investment, elder tech, John?
Right. Look, I think what those Democratic politicians would say as they run for president and as they work in Congress is we've got an economy that's been very good at generating corporate profits, that has done very well for people with high levels of education and talent. It has not rewarded in the same way people in middle, working class, and poor people. And so they're looking for ways to get public resources for investments in infrastructure and education and job training and all those things. And where do you get that money? They're making the argument that the place you should go for that money is people who have a lot of it and who have done very well in this economy.
Yeah,
I don't think they're
when they say that the system that creates billionaires is immoral, and the system also creates a boom in elder tech, Jimmy. Maybe there's more to it than meets the eye.
No, listen, I think people worry about that we're going to sort of kill the golden goose here by big wealth taxes, super high tax rates. That's not, listen, the big challenge facing this country is not an inequality crisis. It's a low growth productivity crisis. And all the problems you can name are going to be a lot worse if this economy is growing at 1.8% per year forever, as opposed to 2.5%. Things look a lot better then.